Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light has been destroyed 7 months later. It still never bounced back. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from Newsweek, has Bud Light bounced back? The answer is no, it has not. From Low Kick MMA, UFC CEO Dana White says true American patriots should be drinking barrels of Bud Light. This is a completely ridiculous, self-serving statement because Dana White is counting on Anheuser-Busch to introduce him to very important people in China and Africa and South America to promote UFC. That is why he's tied up with Bud Light. It has nothing to do with shared values. From Outkick, Dylan Mulvaney named to Forbes 30 Under 30 list after successfully making Bud Light obsolete. From the Washington Examiner, Senator Ted Cruz asks for specifics about why Dylan Mulvaney was chosen to partner with Bud Light, because Dylan Mulvaney's followers tend to be under the legal drinking age. Alyssa Heinerscheid did very specifically say, the former vice president for Bud Light, that she wanted to target young drinkers. The implication is this is not completely legal. From IBB Online, how not to handle an inclusive marketing campaign. This is a good detailed discussion of, yes, if you're a marketing person, it's very clear Anheuser-Busch had no business picking Dylan Mulvaney as their spokesmodel for Bud Light. And from Marketing Brew, practicality may trump purpose in 2024 marketing, according to a report. Chief marketing officers will invest more in AI and data privacy tools and spend less time on ESG, Forrester predicted. From Newsweek, has Bud Light bounced back? Bud Light might no longer be in the eye of a culture war storm, but while scrutiny has eased off the company in recent months, the brand has far from recovered from the boycott called in April by its conservative customers, according to experts. While the controversy that followed the brand's partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney is now several months in the past, we're talking about it's just about 7 months from April 1st when Dylan Mulvaney did this promotion that set off the boycott. Bud Light sales have struggled to pick up, with Anheuser-Busch Bud Light's parent company reporting a 13.5% decline in third quarter U.S. revenue per 100 liters, a key industry metric for beer. And their stock is still down billions of dollars. Anheuser-Busch, the world's biggest brewer, said that sales to U.S. retailers dropped by nearly 17%, primarily due to the volume declines of Bud Light, according to CNN. But there are also massive declines in the Budweiser brand and in all of their other brands. Some of their other brands have bounced back a little bit, but certainly not Bud Light and Budweiser, which really is the enormous brands that Anheuser-Busch has in the United States. Quote, unfortunately, Bud Light's campaign faux pas is not yet in the rearview mirror, entrepreneur Shama Hyder, the founder of Zen Media, an online marketing firm that serves clients around the world, told Newsweek. Sales have slumped and even their chief marketing officer, Benoit Garbe, stepped down recently. She continued, adding that Bud Light's woes contain a lesson for brands everywhere. Know your audience and stay true to your brand voice. The sales decline now is at around 30% for volume, meaning all beer bottles, cans, beer sold on tap down 30% by volume nationwide, with some areas not as bad and other areas much worse, particularly in the South. That's why they had to close glass bottling plants, knowing that those glass bottling plants are never going to be opened again because the business is never coming back again. It costs millions of dollars to set up a glass bottling plant. It costs millions more to close the plants. That was in South Carolina as well as in Louisiana. On November 15th, Anheuser-Busch said Garbe would be stepping down at the end of the year and would be replaced by Kyle Norrington, the U.S. Chief Commercial Officer. Quote, the challenge is that Bud Light faltered and handled this crisis badly, she said. It's going to take a lot of time for them to fully recover from this, especially given the choices consumers have today. Competitors are always nipping at their heels, influencers matter, and de-influencing is more than a trend. Brands have to be much savvier than in the past. Following the controversy around the partnership with Mulvaney and the boycott call by conservatives across the country, Bud Light has lost its title as top-selling American beer to rival Modelo. Bump Williams Consulting, which closely followed the plunge in sales after the whole controversy around Bud Light earlier this year, has paused its weekly reporting on the beer brand as there have been no notable deviations in the trends since the initial descent in April, the company told Newsweek. Bump Williams also told me the same a few weeks ago. They are still doing updates. They do still send me reports occasionally, but the sales are down and they're just not coming back. The consulting firm, which focuses on the beverage alcohol industry, added that while brands in the ABI, Anheuser-Busch InBev portfolio, like Michelob Ultra and Busch Light, have somewhat recovered partially since their stumble in April, Bud Light's declines have remained consistent in their magnitude. Quote, certainly not getting any worse, but also not getting any better, a spokesman for the company said, which basically is either Bump or his brother. Both nice guys, but it's not a big company. Bump Williams Consulting is looking at April 2024 as a potential turning point for any sort of recovery, although I do fear that a high percentage of consumers that have left the brand have indeed left the brand for good, according to the spokesman from Bump Williams. There are signs, on the other hand, that Bud Light is getting out of the conservative doghouse. Last week, rapper Kid Rock, who helped incite the boycott against Bud Light, told Fox News that he didn't want to be in the party of cancel cultures and boycotts that ultimately hurt working class people. Quote, as a God-fearing man, as a Christian, I have to believe in forgiveness, he said. They made a mistake, all right. What do you want? Hold their head underwater and drown them and kill people's jobs? I don't want to do that. Now, this conversation has come up from a couple of conservative influencers. Hey, why should we keep bothering Bud Light? Why should we keep boycotting Bud Light? And the issue is there's really nothing to forgive. They were the ones that decided to rebrand their beer with the face of Dylan Mulvaney. But not just the face. We had to have Dylan Mulvaney in a bathtub splashing around. This is not something people are interested in. So if they want to rebrand their product to associate themselves with transgender Dylan Mulvaney and people that want to jump into a bathtub with Dylan Mulvaney, that's fine for them. But of course, most consumers, like 99.9% of them, are not interested in that. The reason that Bud Light has not dropped by 70, 80, or 90% is because a lot of people still don't pay attention to social media. I've done it myself, talking to a few friends about it. A lot of people are aware of it. Some people are not aware of it literally whatsoever. Those people aren't going to be affected. But the people that pay attention to the media, the people that pay attention to social media, are really completely grossed out by Dylan Mulvaney and this brand association. Of course, people feel very violated as well because the trust that a consumer has with a manufacturer is a two-way street. They get to own the brand, they don't get to own the relationship. When Bud Light did this promotion with Dylan Mulvaney, we had no idea what was going on, and they didn't respond for weeks of whether or not Dylan Mulvaney was supposed to be the new face of Bud Light or what was going on. It was very dishonest for them to not at least explain to consumers, hey, look, this was a one-time thing. It took them weeks to have any kind of response. People really are turned off to Anheuser-Busch InBev, and that's not going to change. Anheuser-Busch still has billions of dollars and tremendous amounts of influence. They made a deal with UFC, which now is being reported at being around $105 million a year for UFC and Anheuser-Busch to partner up and promote Bud Light. Bud Light, as of January 1st, will be featured in the Octagon at UFC matches. They're also going to do media together that will be distributed on social media, so you'll see videos promoting Bud Light. Some of the fighters want to promote Bud Light. The reason why Dana White loves Bud Light, loves Anheuser-Busch, is because he's trying to grow the UFC brand internationally. It's very difficult to do business in China. It's pretty difficult to do business in Africa, and it's kind of difficult to do business in South America. Doesn't mean you can't do business in these places. It does mean, for example, in China, unless you know someone, it's really very difficult to impossible to do business in China. Anheuser-Busch has been doing business in China for more than 10 years. Even Bud Light is a major brand in China. Anheuser-Busch has operations in Africa, South America, So in co-marketing, in co-promoting, in introductions, Dana White can use all of Anheuser-Busch's relationships to meet the right people and push the UFC, making himself tons and tons of money and pushing UFC as an international sports brand. That's why he's doing it. He still hasn't been upfront about why they're doing the deal, but it's pretty obvious. But beyond that, it's already come out through an article in the Wall Street Journal that the company that owns UFC is very excited about their international relationships they can get to promote UFC alongside Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch's other brands. It's not even a secret anymore, but Dana White doesn't seem to want to talk about it. Dylan Mulvaney, of course, is incredibly influential. Many people know who Dylan Mulvaney is. From Outkick, Dylan Mulvaney named to Forbes 30 Under 30 list, which is basically 30 influential people under the age of 30, after successfully making Bud Light obsolete and obviously destroying the brand. There did used to be a time that if you actually went and destroyed something, if you were responsible for a major failure, it would ruin your career. You would go and maybe try and do something else. Not Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney, the transgender trendsetter who cost Bud Light hundreds of millions of dollars, along with the top beer ranking in the USA, has predictably been named to the stupid Forbes 30 Under 30 list. Frankly, the only less shocking development this week was the woke race baiter over a Deadspin writing about the Chiefs kid. That, along with Dylan Mulvaney being plastered on the cover of Forbes, perfectly describes America in 2023. Quote, the actress and LGBT activist gained viral fame with her Days of Girlhood TikTok series, which documented her gender transition and drew more than 1 billion views, Forbes writes about Mulvaney. It was a big year for Dylan Mulvaney, making $2 million in 2023. What a year for Mulvaney, not Bud Light. No, Bud Light is beyond repair at this point. Bud Light has had hundreds of layoffs at this point. It's really not funny. And other companies that have worked with Bud Light have been laying people off. The glass plants that closed, hundreds of people, good union jobs, gone forever. The independent beer distributors have had to lay people off, and the people they haven't laid off, they're paying less money to, all because of this Mulvaney promotion. The once popular beer has been replaced by Modelo as the top-selling beer in America, while Anheuser-Busch has spent the past 6 months ridding itself of anyone and everyone involved in putting Mulvaney on a can. And the reason why Anheuser-Busch is getting rid of these people is because their 500 independent distributors are furious at them. They're furious because they've lost millions of dollars. There's nothing they can do when they're a distributor of someone else's product and the manufacturer who makes that product destroys the brand. All they can do is complain and say, look, at least get rid of the executives. That's been covered in a number of videos we've done over the last 6 months. For the people that love Dylan Mulvaney and the people that pay no attention to media and social media, and they're busy, they have lives, completely understandable, Bud Light still has those customers. The rest of the people who were insulted by their ridiculous promotion are not coming back to the brand. It's black and white. They're never coming back. There's nothing to come back to. Dana White will go and he'll promote Bud Light. He'll probably be able to help them a little bit while he damages UFC, but Dana White will probably have new Chinese customers in China to promote his UFC fights to. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.